Did you know that? Out of the three remaining factions in the Arasaka Corporation, only Hanako's Kiji continues to align itself with both Saburo and Kei's evil value. Both the Taka and the Hato factions, led by Yorinobu and Michiko respectively, have expressed a desire for the downfall of Arasaka in one way, shape, or form. Who knows, maybe if they actually teamed up, Arasaka would not be a problem after all.
Fellow Edge Runners, welcome to Everyone Hates the Arasakas, except Yuri because he's a good guy. And of course there's still speculation, but Michiko might also be one of the good ones. I guess we'll just have to make a lore video on that to find out. Today we discussed the conclusion to the hot hit everyone is talking about. Everyone hates the Arasakas. Fingers crossed it is as controversial as the last vid I made about the Arasakas. I know. You guys all hate me for the fact that I say Yorinobu is a good guy. So, where did we leave off? That is right, factions. So let's start things off with the biggest of the three. We have ourselves the Taka, which is led by Yorinobu himself. The Kiji, Green Pheasant, led by Hanako, and the Hato, or the Dove, led by Michiko Arasaka. Now, Arasaka split into three. This was mostly caused by the fact that a very important figure, this evil mofo, has gone MIA. To the world, he is probably dead. He's gone, thank God. But we discover that Kei is actually, unfortunately, not gone, but rather he has been trapped in a Mikoshi-like prison created by the best netrunner to have ever lived. And he is currently being held captive by Spider Murphy. Things to note, this is obviously fairly obvious, but Kei, as far as we know, ain't flatlined, which is kind of a big deal, to be honest with you. So he got soul killed and is living in a hellhole like what happened to Johnny, essentially. He could make a return, but this would most likely mean SM gets put into the forefront somehow. But honestly, this is looking more and more unlikely given that CDPR seems to be kind of only doing one DLC, and we already got leaks that it's going to be about Songbird, which is hard to kind of bridge and be like Songbird is connected to Kei somehow. So unfortunately, this one looks like it will not happen, meaning like we may never see Kei Arasaka fully fleshed out. Boo! So some of you may be asking, all right, what the hell? How come the Arasaka split into three? Well, like I mentioned, Kei Arasaka has gone missing. The nuking of the Arasaka Tower has just happened. So they're kind of leaderless. So who is in control? Well, here's the thing. Technically, after Kei died, the company went back to the control of this wrinkled old dude. But as mentioned, factions form, and the biggest of the three was Yuri's Taka. His group grew in numbers simply because of what Yuri stood for. He wanted to bring a change to Arasaka, and given that many of its employees have just concluded a war, like losing loved ones, getting soul killed, nuked, shot at, assassinated, all that fun stuff, it's safe to assume that a lot of them are tired, or at least they want some sort of good change, and that's what Yorinobu offered. And now that the war is over, it was the perfect time to, for him to kind of swoop in and do a coup. Kinda. This is a little bit weird to me because between the years of 2023 or around the time the war ended and 2077, Yuri, he never really takes over. He just continues to sabotage the company, which was pretty weak if you're trying to stop the company from, being this evil global thing. So I'm not sure why he held back for so long, but this one kind of is one of those instances in my headcanon was more like a real world thing. Like CDPR wanted the game to be Cyberpunk 2077 and not Cyberpunk 2057. I don't know, maybe they just wanted a longer gap to kind of stay away from the story that was built by our Talsorian Games or by Mike Pondsmith himself. I don't know, but it just seems weird that for almost 50 years he did nothing, and then we'll talk a little bit about it later, but by 2077 then he decides to do something. So anyways, let's get back to my main point. As mentioned, the years between 2023 and 2077 for Arasaka, it was honestly, not gonna lie to you, Maybe someone can find something that's like super great, but it was, in my opinion, pretty boring. Well, okay, let's reword that. It was uneventful compared to what just happened. You know, they just kind of rebuild in comparison to literally the Fourth Corporal War where people were attacking each other. However, there is one massive thing that actually happened that allowed them to be, you know, I guess the global power that we see in Cyberpunk 2077. So what is this catalyst, some of you may be asking, and it is simply the big lie. Now, if some of you guys have watched movies like Spotlight, where in that movie they kind of like explore, well, not explore, but like the media or this group called Spotlight for like Boston Times. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Anyways, they try to expose a big truth, a lie about the Catholic, well, not a lie, but a truth about the Catholic Church. And anyways, that's kind of like the same thing here. And if you haven't watched the movie, don't worry, I'll explain it right now. Essentially, after the nuking of the Arasaka Tower, Arasaka was blamed for this event, even though we know it was a Militech-led group that detonated the nuke. Arasaka was still blamed for everything. This was because the president of Nusa at the time, President Kress, wanted Arasaka out of Nusa. So, to do this, they lied to the media. They pushed the idea that it was Era's own nuke that killed millions in Night City's downtown core. The story goes, a defensive nuke in the Era Tower was detonated to prevent their secrets from being revealed. This was the big lie. Not only did President Kress push Era out of Night City, this cover-up also made Militech technically her bitch. This, in my opinion, this was a very well-played move by President Kress. Okay, now let's fast forward about 18 years-ish to early 2040, and we got ourselves an up-and-coming media by the name of Trace Santiago. That's right, Rogue's son. The problem is, this fool, he wanted to reveal the truth. And this is where I go, look, man, I understand that it is important to tell your truth. Mama ain't raised no liar. And look, I understand that. But you might help Era in the process? Question mark? I think he's honestly stupid for this. Anyways, he does just that. He exposes to the world who was really at fault for the death of millions. Okay, now at this point, my brain goes back to The Dark Knight Rises when Bane uses like Gordon's retirement letter to free all of the convicts who were wrongfully arrested under the Harvey Act, essentially undoing kind of all of the good that the lie had done. Okay, now look, like, I mean, now that I've kind of said that analogy and metaphor, is it a metaphor? But anyways, I understand that it's bad to kind of build a good thing out of a terrible lie, but how many of that has happened in history? I don't know, honestly, where I stand on this. All I know is that, like, I know that Arasaka is evil, so why help them? Maybe he could have just gone to Militech and, you know, Nusa and said, hey, I know what happened. Give me millions of dollars. Okay, maybe money wasn't his thing, but, you know, some sort of collateral, because him knowing all of this is a huge sort of leveraging power that he has. He has the ability to, you know, technically topple everything. I mean, he does topple everything, but I think he could have gone about this in a totally different way. Because another thing that just popped into my head, off script now, is doesn't he know, I mean, at this point, he does know that his dad and his mom were involved in the nuking of the Arasaka Towers. So now he puts his mom in that terrible position where she is technically under Arasaka's control. Come on, buddy. Think about that for a little bit. All right, so look, now you guys understand what I feel about Trace's decision. Am I wrong for thinking that way? Do some of you agree? Some of you disagree? Actually, honestly, I'd prefer if you disagreed, but let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below, because I'm curious, if you were in Trace's position, would you have revealed this story? I know I would not have, and cashed out on Militech's blunder. Duh. Okay, so cool. Let's put that to the side for a second. So the important thing to note here is this was kind of the catalyst that allowed Arasaka to once again kind of stretch their legs. This prevented, or this, I guess, nullified that whole act I don't even know if it was an act, but that forced them to be a Japan-only corporation. They were kind of now freed of that burden. All thanks to our homeboy, Mr. Trace Santiago. Now that we've discussed that, let's talk quickly about our particular free city known as Night City. Let's jump to 2069. Oh, God.
You're 22 years old and that shit's still funny to you?
The Unification War is about to go down. And a council member, a particular guy named Lucius Rhine was concerned that the war would greatly affect his home. So, what does this fool do? And who does he call for? That's right, he calls for Arasaka. Because now, like as I mentioned, Arasaka is no longer limited. They're allowed to do what they want. And what does Arasaka decide to bring with them? Okay, obviously it doesn't fly, but still, it's a super carrier. And literally, as soon as Nusa sees this, they retreat ASAP. Then, the rest. Politics. Ryan gets elected as mayor, presumably for saving Night City. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I don't know how, but Arasaka has a new tower in the middle of the downtown core. Honestly, well done, Trace. Well done. All of this is thanks to you. Literally, Saburo should be thanking Trace Santiago at this point. So now let's jump back to the Arasakas themselves, starting with Yorinobu, my favorite homeboy. First, how did Yuri learn about Johnny Silverhand in the relic? Did he even know about who was in the relic? I don't know. Honestly, this is the part where I'm kind of like trying to find that information, but it's never really talked about. It's never really exposed. So I don't know where that information is. If you guys know, of course, please let me know in the comment section down below. If you have a better understanding of what happened here, again, let me know in the comment section down below. So my thinking is this. My simple brain says that Yuri, throughout the years, tried to look for the best way to destroy Arasaka from within. He snoops around and finds that Johnny Silverhand is in Mikoshi. He follows his engram for some time until he finds that Johnny was put into the relic as some sort of guinea pig, I think. Yuri then takes this opportunity to strike, and he swipes the relic right from under Saburo's nose. Again, if you guys have a better understanding of what happened, please let me know. Anyways, now things are set. The pieces are in place, and it's time. Of course, Saburo hears about his prized possession being stolen, so he takes his daughter Hanako, this pretty young lady right here, with him to confront Yuri in Night City. And then you guys know the rest. You have played it. So with that being said, let's discuss some of the endings here and what happens. So let's talk about the devil ending. This one I think is just like the worst one. So Yuri gets killed and his father takes over his body. Again, literally the worst case scenario, as not only does Yuri fail in destroying Arasaka, but he actually loses his life in the process. All thanks to this evil bitch. And those endings, I would not be surprised if Era builds enough strength to start attacking the rest of Nusa. They would probably go after the free states first by, overpowering them or bribing them or, manipulating their way in. Then they would eventually start poking at the states under Nusa's control. The devil ending, in my opinion, would lead to another war. Most likely the Eras versus the rest of the Western world. Now the Sun ending and the Reaper ending are probably the best ones because this halts Era's growth. They are forced to kind of withdraw. Their stocks plummet. We hear that when Delamain is flying you around as you make your way to the afterlife. So we kind of hear about, their downfall. And I think even in the ending where Johnny takes over your body, the kid questions of whether or not there's going to be a war. But their stocks, again, got hit so hard that they're forced to kind of, take a step back, which is, even though it wasn't part of Yorinobu's plan, it helped facilitate some sort of regression. And I think that's the important part here. And after these events, after all of these endings where Arasaka kind of loses their foothold, I would hope that Taka, so Yuri's faction, decides on genuinely imprisoning Hanako, as technically she is the only bad leader out of the three factions. Because again, Michiko, based on what I have read so far in the source books, also does not want Era to continue in its evil ways. Obviously, she doesn't want to kill her own family, but maybe a lunch date with her uncle would be the best way to finally end era's evil reign. Teamwork makes the dream work, guys. Come on. But that is it for me in this one, choombas. Honestly, like, this one was a mix of me writing a script and kind of like free rapping it, freestyling it. Oh my god, I'm so old, I don't even know what the right words are anymore. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Of course, leave your thoughts, anything you want to talk about in the comment section down below, because I think based off this, I want to make a video on Trace and Michiko, as their characters seem intertwined, especially because of the black dog sourcebook thingy. But yeah, so I will do that and start making lore videos on them. But that is it for me in this one, choombas. I will see you in the next one. Bye.